So what is stimming? When you Google stimming, it's sort of confusing because a lot of the definitions say that stimming is self-stimulating behavior. And if you don't really understand the context of that, then it's just like using the same word to define the word that you're already a little bit confused about. And that is kind of the point here, is that there's a lot of confusion around stimming. It's mysterious, and even the experts don't really understand. And so I think that's where I can come in and bring some connect the pieces. And I think that's where we come in as neurodivergents that connect the dots. And no, our voices aren't always heard, but we can hear each other, and we can continue to share, to express our experiences. And we're talking about something nonverbal here. The energetic connection between the layers of our beings. And so putting it in words is essentially difficult, is essentially going to limit it. Words do limit. We're talking about infinite connection. And that's impossible to put into words, but we will play with words to touch into, to tap into, to connect with our sense of that infinite reality. And so Google says, stimming refers to self-stimulating behaviors, usually involving repetitive movements or sounds. Everybody stims in some way. It's not always clear to others, though. Stimming is part of the diagnostic criteria for autism, and that's not because stimming is always related to autism. So that's the top hit when you Google stimming. This is a definition from the National Autism Association, a group that works to bring safety and awareness around the autistic population, because there are so many safety concerns around behavioral issues, and it stems from a lack of understanding and a suppression of stimming, of the benefits of stimming, of being connected to yourself in that way, and of understanding neurodivergence as these more nonverbal, more feminine, more feeling and sensing beings that we will continue to explore through DCFO. So the National Autism Association works to prevent drowning, prevent accidents, injuries, death resulting from seclusion and restraints in schools that's still happening today in the autistic population, in the neurodivergent population. So the National Autism Association says self-stimulating behavior, also known as stimming, is the repetition of physical movements, sounds, or movements of objects, and is common in individuals with autism. Stimming, or stims, may include hand flapping, rocking, repeating noises or words, snapping fingers, spinning objects, jumping, among many others. It is often used as a way to calm, stimulate, or express thoughts and feelings. And so again, we have that word stimulate in the definition. And so what DCFO gets at is, what does it really mean to stimulate? What are we stimulating? Why? And why do we need to? How does it benefit us? And not only us as autistic or neurodivergent, but us as people, as humans. How does this word stimulate and stimming behavior actually unify us in collective need and a collective, accessible definition of thriving or high functioning? So that's what we're getting to. First, I have one more definition from a popular autistic Instagrammer, My Autistic Soul, who says, stimming is a healthy and very important way for autistics to regulate their emotions. People with certain mental illnesses stim often as well, and even neurotypical stim from time to time. Stimming helps us to express and understand our emotions. We stim when we're happy, upset, angry, overwhelmed, anxious, scared, and even when we're bored. It is crucial that we be allowed to stim freely, as suppressing stims can be extremely harmful. Stims don't always come naturally. Sometimes we need to discover stims that work for us. So what is stimming? Any type of repetition using any sense of the body. It is fluid and infinite. It is quiet and loud, unique to each person, voluntary and intentional, and also involuntary and instinctual. Why do we stim? To communicate, to regulate emotions, to express emotion and feelings, to understand what we're feeling, to distract, for fun, and sometimes just because we're bored. So though that was a long multi-chunk definition from my autistic soul on Instagram, one thing I would like to say is that I would never use the word bored. I would say that to me relates to my time spent in limbo, or into the wandering into the infinite, which is something that neurodivergents have a lot of access to in our very open system. Our system, when I say system, I mean our multi-layered body being. And so this last definition from an autistic person uses words like infinite, accentuates the dual reality that we're living in, and really emphasizes stimming as a positive, healthy, beneficial thing to do. Remember, those were their words and not mine. And I wouldn't necessarily say everything exactly the same, but I really think it's so valuable to be exploring autistic and neurodivergent voices when we are talking about subjects that autistic and neurodivergent people have an internal experience of, internal access to. It's okay to hypothesize and observe others, but we need to listen to people's actual experience and gain our knowledge and awareness from there. So now it's my turn. Stimming is literally anything you do that moves energy in your dynamic system. Particularly what brings your attention back to your body, back into connection with the body. So again, stimming is anything that moves energy through your dynamic system. And by dynamic, I mean many or multi-layered system. We've got emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual. And energy is meant to circulate freely through those 4 layers, always in connection, in an interdependence. So stimming is activating. It's reactivating the connection between our many layers of our system. It's reclaiming the value of the feminine, of the nonverbal, of the feeling and somatic realm of the body, of the natural magical wisdom of the body. Not elevating it above the masculine, mental, spiritual realm, but in balance with equal value. So we are reconnecting, reassociating with ourselves. And that allows us to reassociate with each other and the world in new ways, or to reclaim thriving, well, respectful, non-abusive, non-violent ways of being. So we're re-embodying in stimming. Basically, everything that we do is a stim, and it's whether it's automatic or conscious, and whether we allow it to reconnect ourselves with ourselves, reconnect our mental realm with the body realm, reconnect those 4 layers of our beings. So we're reconnecting the many layers of our beings after oppression, suppression, abuse, repression of feelings, disconnect, disassociation, disembodiment, or identifying with disease or disorder. Stimming of any kind is passively or actively engaging with overall wellness. So even in this short and circular definition that I've provided right now, it might be evident how stimming can save the world. But we will dive deeper together into that topic if you stick with me.